find something in that recording, please get in touch with me, and I'll either debunk it or prove it for you pretty quickly via email. So, first and foremost, thermal imaging. This is one of the first things we're going to be using. Why would I want thermal imaging inside of a ghost hunt? This is interactive.
Be able to tell if what you're seeing is paranormal or an actual person. Hot spots.
But how so? Right, hot spots, cold spots. So yeah, technically you're both right. So first off, you guys should be able to see me in there, right? You had red, orange, and yellow guy. So sorry, fellas, but I'm the hottest thing inside the camera right now. So, haha, that worked here too, and you're not even a bridal party. This is awesome. So we're literally looking for blue and black spots to take shape on their own. So that's what we're going to be diving into with this guy. Does this capture something every single night? No, it doesn't. Not usually in my spot checks, but if we're not recording, we're not going to capture it. So this is a FLIR camera. What does that mean to you? This is what firemen actually use to help save people. This is something they keep in their pocket so they can attach it to their phone and get to work. So I went with the real deal on this. This is not a phone app. This is not any kind of phony anything. The other thing you need to know about this video that you're going to get back is there's a blue dot bouncing around the screen, giving us the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. What that basically is helping you do is help guide your eye onto where the cold spots might actually be. When I'm spot checking your video, I'm actually looking for basically color, but that blue dot will assist us from time to time and find a very small cold spot that is like 15 to 50 degrees colder than the ambient temperature. I also left a center crosshairs on there, so if the user wants to actually measure something specific, they simply just have to move the camera. So, I normally don't give this to the tallest person, but Heckler, we're going to go with you on this one. You're going to hold that just like I just handed it to you. Nope, the opposite way. There you go. Just like I just handed it to you. So you're going to keep that horizontal all night long. We're going to do a few starts and stops of that video because as great as that hardware is, the software sucks. So the red orange square that's on there, it is recording right now, and I started purposely so everybody has the intro of how to watch the video. I will give you the stops for it. And then just make sure when you restart it back up again, if I say, Greg, let's get some footage here, make sure you're in that horizontal position before you hit the record button. Otherwise, I got to give out his phone number because I'm not taking any complaints for sideways videos. See why I handed him the camera, everybody? Yes, I'm on top of things. The next camera. I promise most of these devices will not take that long of an explanation. That one's just very high-tech. The next camera works completely different. Let me get this puppy started. Quick demo with this guy. You should barely be able to see me in this very small square right there. Little tiny GoPro. So quick, going all the way across. It should be dark and black. We're going to turn on some lights. So I should now be in a pinkish or purple hue. We're working with lights here that we can't see with our own eyes. So the lights are obviously up here at the very top. So the hope here is that we're going to be able to capture something we would not be able to see with our own eyes. So I love this camera, but it is a downgrade from the one I just purchased because the new one is in the shop already. The manufacturer did not account for a daily usage on it, so they are fixing it for me. But it is an actual, I still love this type of technology. So the hope, we're going to actually use an accompanying item with this. So again, Carissa, this one's going to go to you. I will let you know when we're going to start recording and show you more about that as we move along. Yep, really cool. He was late. Yeah. He was.
Looks like, oh gosh.
Okay, so for the accompanying item, just so I don't forget who actually has it, I usually give this to the party of 3 because this is a 2-person job. This is the neuralizer for Men in Black. None of you are going to remember anything by the time we're done. Lasers. Ooh. So, why do we use lasers on this guy? We're looking for something to actually pass through the laser so we can actually see the shape of it. So, the hope here is that we're going to be able to capture it with the camera I just handed to Carissa, because these things light up like a Christmas tree through that camera. So, I'll be able to take that still and be able to show you what we actually caught there. We're going to be using 2 different styles. So, this one gives us red squares. Why do we use red squares? In the event we capture something here and I can get the still out of the camera, I can put it in 3D software and give you a full 3D view of what we caught along with measurements. So, I've had this red one for about a year now, and the software hasn't been able to take anything that I caught through it yet. So hopefully tonight is our lucky night. So, Miss Janine, these are both going to go to you. Wow. With the green one, there's a button right where my index finger is. When you're holding these down, you want to make sure that basically the grid is touching the tip of your toe. And the same with this one, once you hit it on, it stays on. So you have to be careful where you point it. You have to stay on the ground. So, at all times. So you never want to like, oh, what's going on over here? We'll set off car alarms and there's a laser launch and all those things. So we have to keep them definitely on the ground. Exactly. Everyone's
great responsibility.
But definitely get used to how those work as I'm going through the rest of these devices. But yeah, just make sure it's pointed down at all times. Spirit boxes. We're going to be using several different types tonight.
Hey, you're here for the ghost story?
You're in the wrong spot.
Oh. This is not the ghost story?
This is a ghost hunting tour.
Oh, okay.
And I already have all of my people. You're probably looking for Bulldog. They're down the street to the left.
Oh, I am looking for Bulldog.
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't tell if you were joking with me.
There it is. Perfect. Alright. So, that happens all the time. And I joke with them because they are like pretty much my only competitor around town. Let's see. So spirit boxes. If you're unfamiliar with what a spirit box is, it's basically going to sweep through the FM radio stations at a very fast range. On your TV shows and YouTube channels, it's where they give you the white noise, basically, and then they try to convince you of the blobbity-blob mess that they heard, and they put it up in the middle of the screen. We're going to be doing that in real time. Only the method we're going to use is a little bit different than what you see on television. The reason why is because none of you are trained to listen to white noise for 2 hours. I'm going to be spouting out history for 2 hours for this. So somebody's going to fall asleep between the white noise and the history. So I have this guy slowed down. The purpose of that is so that way, if the radio chatter starts to come through, the song lyrics, the DJs, the commercials, and we can make out what they're saying, it's a 50-50 shot that I can tie it to the location of where we are, the person in history we're discussing, or even something going on with one of you guys. It happens all the time. I'm going to be handing out 2 of these. This one is going to record the entire session, no outside noise. So the nice thing is that the person using it is going to have an earbud in so they can actually hear it throughout our time together tonight. But you all will receive this recording back tomorrow morning. I will spot check it and give about 15 to 25 more markers depending on what I hear out of it, whether it's relevant or not. If it is relevant, I'll tell you why and then give you a link to be able to verify my information. Is that fair to everybody? I'm not hiding anything out here, as Clint was worried about when we were texting earlier. So, Lexi, the only thing you need to worry about, first off, I don't want earbuds back. Your earwax is your own security. Put it in your ear.
Where's the blue dot? Is that over there?
Carrie,
That's the car.
you're going to get the second one. So yours will not record, so I'm going to be relying on you based on what you hear to be able to write down and put in everybody's notes. It's already sweeping. Again, keep your own earwax. Your volume button is right here. So I have it turned all the way down. The next spirit box we don't actually have to listen to. That's what's so cool about it. If you guys seem like you're somewhat fans of the TV shows, you know what an obulus is. It's basically a box that's going to give you words from time to time in the center of the screen. We have one here tonight, but it's in a different format. The reason why I use this on a cell phone is because there's 36,000 terms and phrases inside this dictionary. The ones you guys see on TV have 2,000. I literally have 18 times the amount of dictionary words coming up out of this guy. So this is a phone app. The cool thing about it is that it's going to save all of those words into a list with a timestamp. So if something does pop up that's relevant out of this guy, I'll be able to know where to listen to the Spirit Box recording or watch the video, so forth and so on. I'm going to clear out last night's terms. They only had 71 terms, which is pretty light. So you're going to keep that in mind. 80% of what comes out of this thing is going to be bullshit. It's not going to mean anything. I'm going to give you the full list just in case something is relevant to you. It's going to be working the same principle as the other 2 spirit boxes I've already handed out. Tom, this one's going to go to you, my friend. I'll let you know when I want to see the word list. You don't have to show me every single term that pops up. Otherwise, we're going to be out here till 4 in the morning. So, and then the word list is going to grow and grow and grow and grow. The last spirit box we're going to be using tonight. I'm losing names. Amy. I got Heckler down, but I can't get yours, and you're the one that booked. So there's a reason why I'm giving you this one specifically is because it does not record anything, but Greg's camera does record audio, and it is open air. You're not going to have an earbud, but this one works a little bit differently. So how does this one work? It's going to sweep through the FM and AM radio stations at the same time. Why do we do that? It's because it's trying to take out the white noise that everybody else is listening to and only giving us words. Now, this guy will only give us about 10 to 12 words in a 2-hour time frame. This thing has been 75% accurate to me so far. Love this guy. It's new to the tour. I've only had it for about 2 months. It's already up and running. As you can see, it's not so disruptive, but I am going to show you where the mute button is. So when you're holding it, the flashing buttons are at the top. On the right-hand side is a mute button. It's the only one there. I'm going to keep it muted for now.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and leave that on mute. All right. So where am I left? Diane. You beat me to the punch. I had it. So. You guys have probably seen these on your TV shows and YouTube videos, right? So it's going to measure electromagnetic fields. We use this one to debunk things. So I normally only bring this guy when I have out like a full group like this, but this is going to be a very interesting night because you guys see like it's going to be a lot of fun. So with that said, we're going to use this to debunk things. All I want to know is if any colors are showing up, and then we're going to look for rhythms and patterns out of it. It's a rhythm or a pattern, even if it just goes to one color and stays there, that's a pattern. It's staying still. So I want to know what's going on with that so we can kind of debunk things ahead of time to see if it's coming from something man-made. Just because this guy isn't super exciting, you're also going to be my photographer for the night. There's no flash on this guy. So again, I want you taking pictures through the lasers, maybe some touristy stuff for the whole group, because everybody's going to get some pictures. Selfies get thrown away. So you guys
What if I tell you I'm blind as a bat?
hold the camera very still and hit the button. There's no flash on this guy on purpose because I don't want any false positives of orbs popping through. So I do that purposely. So some of these pictures are going to be dark. I'm going to go through them and lighten them up to see if there's anything going on there, but if there's nothing going on, you're not going to get the plethora of lightness that I put into the picture, just so you guys know. So you're ready to shoot, right?
Yep.
Okay. Want to shoot that guy? And that guy. There you go. You're going to this as well. Clint, I saved you for last. You get to carry the bag. No, I'm kidding. You're my multitasker. You seem like you wanted some very scientific things going on. I'm giving you probably one of the most high-tech things that needs to interact with most other people around you. This is what we call a millimeter. So what does this guy do? It has a K2 EMF meter built into it. So anything above 2.5 on your big numbers, I want to know what's going on. The reason why is that would be Diane's second green dot. I want to kind of gauge things and see where we're at. The bottom is ambient temperature. Heckler Man over here finds something on his camera. We can be able to prove it or debunk it with the yellow probe that's at the top. The last thing that it has a motion sensor built into it. If something gets close to the antenna that I just pulled out, it's going to go off. I am not touching it right now. The closer it gets, obviously the different colors and pitches that we're going to get out of it. I'm going to turn that piece off for right now because it can be distracting as I'm trying to get through some of the history. So I'll show you more about that at our next location. All right, guys, everybody geared up? Go have fun. Let me know what happens. Like, you just handed us all this gear. We have no idea what we're doing yet. All right. Whew, that's light. Maybe I should have given you the bag. So, all right. So we start here for a reason, but I'm pretty sure you guys are all going to make me talk all night because I'm pretty sure that's my job. So give me just a second. I'm going to get a drink of water. I think I should have brought two of these for this group today. You guys are going to keep on the toes. So there's a reason why we started here. You guys all seen the term Big John's in your text. There's a reason why we started here because Big John's, of course, is haunted. It's only closed because it's Monday. It's not because it's, it's not closed down. But this place used to be owned by a football player. His name is Big John Kennedy. Can you imagine why they named it Big John's? He owned the place. So, with that said, he used to sit in the back of this bar and he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, two guys come in. They're not old enough to drink. So he has the bartender throw them out. They leave pretty pissed off. They come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on. He slams down his beer, gets up, and just starts beating the hell out of these guys. Just pounding them right into the floor. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck, and the bullet lands behind him in the wall. John gets up after being shot, being the only one that's been shot, no less, goes back to the bar, tells the bartender to get him another beer, gets the two guys on the floor in ambulance. So, the funny part of the story is nobody died in this place. It's either the building is haunted, everybody automatically thinks some tragic death. What's haunting the place is the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. Even if this new renovation of Big John's filled it in, Big John's blood is inside this building. People that tend to sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. In fact, a lot of my guests go there for dinner before they meet with me. A lot of them can't finish their beautiful steak in front of them. So, this is your heated warning. This is probably the scariest thing I will tell you all night long, but if anybody feels any of those symptoms, I need to know immediately. That's headache, nausea, dizziness. I won't say that people haven't passed out on this tour in the past or that I've had to call the EMTs. So, we'll talk more about this as we move on. And Janine's looking at me like, what the hell did we just sign up for? Like, where can I run? Where are we going? But again, they are rare occurrences, but they do occur. So, with that said, let's get our mind off our own health so Janine's not running away from us. We had a big earthquake here in 1886. If you haven't heard that from another tour yet, now you have. Every type of tour in town talks about it. Why? Because this is South Carolina. We're supposed to have hurricanes, not earthquakes. 1886, this is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The mantle you see in the middle of the building also wraps around to the front on the East Bay Street side. A piece of it broke off, hit somebody in the back of the head. Apparently it killed him, and they say you can see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street. I say apparently and allegedly a lot with that. I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so Janine's not thinking about getting sick on the tour. So you had this look of horror on your face. I'm just going to put it out there. You're like, oh my God. Is everybody ready to go ghost hunting?
Yeah.
All right. You guys have following me.
Do I need to keep this filming while we're walking?
Yeah, so the button next to this.
Let me just check. I just want to make sure because I don't want to be walking around like this for 3 hours.
He said you kept it on the whole time.
But he said there was times where they could turn it off. And then,
Yeah, he was going to tell you.
oh man, I'm just gonna walk 3 hours like this.
Turn mine on.
Yeah, but I got a nickname.
Yeah.
I should be embarrassed. Everybody was laughing. We were just having a little fun. And I wouldn't do that the whole tour. You know that.
You can make it out, so I'm going to explain that further. That's part of the reason why we're here. Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to explain everything. This is why I say hang on to your questions. So first off, notice my voice kind of went down a little bit because we are next to the big red barn where we actually keep the horses for your paragraph. They can actually hear us. Absolutely no lasers in this space. We don't want to possibly throw a laser up in this barn and disrupt them, and we definitely use earbuds with our spirit boxes in this location, although we're not going to spend a lot of time here. This is the same red barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. Whenever I'm giving you the history of a building, I will always do my best, because I'm from the north, to slow down on certain key words. Over back at Big John's, it was 1947, New York, Giants, anything relatable to the word to John or a barn. So, this location, the key words obviously are delivery, milk, eggs, anything relatable to a stable. So, let's talk about those spirit boxes, because I made the history here really short on purpose so we can be quick here and actually deep dive into much further colonial history. So, spirit boxes, this is not TV, this is not YouTube. It's also not a Ouija board. Everybody wants to ask the same question whenever they get a spirit box. I'm pretty sure I put a spirit box inside every party that's here. So with that, this is not is somebody here, because everybody wants to ask that question, right? So if Tom's spirit box actually says no, that means somebody's here, just so you guys know. That's why we don't ask yes or no questions. Whether you're a skeptic or not, you're here for some kind of paranormal proof because you're just curious. You're not going to get it out of yes or no questions. I would normally tell my folks when you're first experimenting with a spirit box to ask questions you already know the answer to. If somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is, right? So obviously we're looking and listening for the color red. However, most of the spirit boxes tonight are using like radios and like radio DJs and song lyrics to be able to convey messages back to us. The word red might not be available to that DJ or song lyric. Fire truck, blood, heart. Those three things are specifically red. That would make sense to an answer, and I would accept that. What color is the big red barn? Blood. I'm good. However, most of the night, I'm going to require that there's at least 2 pieces of something going on with all of my gear out here to verify what's going on. Let me give you an example. Let's say Tom's word list has the word art on it. It doesn't mean anything here by itself. But then Carrie hears, see, I'm trying to get names right. You guys see me doing that, right? So Carrie hears the number 40. That doesn't mean anything by itself either. But if we put them together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. Do you see how we're going to be putting the clues together? So sometimes it might be an EMF reading that went super high, and all of a sudden somebody heard some relevant term to the space, that kind of thing. It's not going to be a full-blown conversation like what they try to make out on TV. Just so you know, this is all about the verification of one clue to another. So that way we can actually see what's actually happening. A lot of times tonight, I'm going to withhold information purposely. I don't want anybody getting any kind of subliminal messaging in the back of their brains. So with that said, I'm going to give you questions in each location that you will not know the answers to. I want you to have a genuine experience with me tonight. I want something to actually occur where you can actually see what an actual paranormal investigation looks like. I'm sure Clint can very much appreciate that. So, sorry, I'm going to pick on you tonight too, sir. So, spirit boxes, if you're really, just to clarify, you are listening to radio, DJs, and song lyrics. If you hear buy a Kia today and welcome to Charleston, I want to know that you heard buy a Kia today and welcome to Charleston, because the word buy and welcome might actually mean something. I don't know what, but I will always dive in and kind of see what's going on. This is all about the research. I told you, I'm actually trained as a writer. When I say trained, that's a master's degree, folks. I actually write books for a living during the daytime, but nobody buys books anymore, so I get to go ghost hunting. So, let's talk about those cameras, the spirit boxes. You guys all have a good gist on how you're going to be using your devices tonight? All right, cool. Sonnet is compliant, so I'm going to move on. So, cameras. We're going to start with Heckler Man. So, you're going to try to do two things for us. Well, I guess first off, we have 3 cameras total out here tonight because we do have a digital camera. Some of the spaces we're going to tonight, there's going to be parked cars and people walking through. I will tell you that people do not like their cars to be filmed or taken pictures of, and they don't like themselves to be in a film or pictures taken of. So if I do an Andy's coming, like from Toy Story, I want you guys to basically drop your cameras, not on the ground, but basically, for instance, you're going to point yours straight at the ground because yours looks very like Ghostbustery, and I want you to just point it directly at the ground. That's why I gave it to the shortest person here. So with yours, it's very easy. You're holding a cell phone, so just basically get them out of the shot, and of course, don't stop and take somebody's license plate in the photograph. So again, they don't know what we're doing out here, but if I was a car thief, Greg's camera would be my first tool because I know how long exactly those cars have been sitting there based on their heat signature. It looks very suspicious. Just imagine if I was taking a video of your vehicle on with a thermal gun. Anyway, back to that camera. You're going to try to do 2 things. You're going to try to keep one of us in view. We all paid to be filmed. Everybody else did not. The reason why is we're going to be the warmest thing out here. So in the event that Janine's temperature goes to 101, you have to let me know so I can kick her off the tour because she's obviously sick. So he's checking you out right now. Do you see that? So, but the reason why is we're going to be the warmest thing out here, and that'll give us the array of color that we're looking for. Much easier to find those cold spots in the video if there's skin inside the camera. So the other thing you're going to try to do is you're going to try to keep the sky out of view. The blue dots that I told you guys all about earlier will default to the blue sky if it's in view. Some of the spaces we're going to, that's going to be impossible. It's looking for a surface up there. Obviously the sky doesn't have a surface. It's only measuring surfaces. So that's why you're going to see those array of color in there, and the sky will always look like it's the coldest spot in the frame. So, Carissa and Janine, let's work on your tactic real quick. So, Janine, go ahead and point one of your lasers down for me. Perfect. Look at you. So, you're not going to point down at it because we all know what the stars look like. You're actually going to take 2 steps backwards. Not you, Janine, stay still. Perfect. So, perfect. So really what we're looking for is down here. So again, if you're pointing down at it, we're not going to be able to see the motion coming through as clear as what we would is if you're holding it level and it's down here. So again, if something does pass through it, it's going to be super quick. You're probably going to miss it in real time. A lot of this is actually caught in media review, which is part of the reason why I gave Tom the spirit box that he did, so that way you guys can all kind of help him out with that. So again, when you're using both lasers, Janine, you don't want to cross the streams. Bad Ghostbusters joke, but it does work here. So you want to make sure that the grids are side by side instead of crossed this way. Do you see where I'm going with that? You don't want to go this way with the laser beams. You want to go straight down. Yep. So that way when you have, go ahead and point them straight down. Yeah, I know the red one can be a little tricky with that switch. Perfect. And then point your green one. You want to go out a little bit in front of you. Like I said, you want to have the edge touching your toes. So now, crossing the stream, there you go. Now we've created 2 big grids right here.
Oh, I see.
See where I'm going? Because if you have them crossed, there's only one space for the ghost to actually be able to come through. All right, you can go ahead and turn those off so we don't accidentally, shine the horses. The only thing I do need to work with so far is the device that Clint has, which we're going to talk about at our next location because I want to deep dive into colonial times because you guys are getting a little bit bored. So we're going to let this pedicab go through, and then we're going to go to our next stop. Fair? All right.
So,
go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. You said if people are reading too high to let you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because when I put the camera on people, everybody's showing up like 103, 104, 105.
So at this point, stop the video, hit the red, give it a second. Temperatures drop.
Yes.
See? I know what I'm talking about, folks. Let's do this. Let's go. Red rock? Yes, absolutely. What color is the big red line?
It's like, then I'm looking, I'm like, everybody's 105. They're all burning up. Yeah. Group trip.
They stay on for a few seconds. But the words up there, no, I took it inside.
Any ratings at all so far? Did you see anything come up? 2.5 and higher. Alright, where is anything going on with your device yet? Nothing? Terry, have you heard anything out of your device?
I could have sworn I heard Nick.
I'm not surprised by that. You're 7 nights a week, they all know me. My name showed up last night, but it was on Tom's word list. Like, there was no denying that it was my name specifically. So I will tell you, Lexi, correct? Look at me go, guys. I'm on top of things. Lexi actually heard the phrase red rock. What I'm going to point out about these spirit boxes that they're slowed down. So at times, if we're getting full phrases like that, it's because they're so slow. What color is the big red barn? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. I don't need Rudolph the nosed reindeer. I just need red. She heard red rock already. So obviously the word rock is insignificant, but we got the correct answer because I asked it out loud just a few moments ago. So nice work. Lexi might be our shining star. We'll find out. All right, so Tom, I'm going to talk about your word list as we kind of spread out here. So welcome to a beautiful space in Charleston, everybody. You're in a parking lot. Congratulations, you made it. So I told you I'm taking you some of the weird spots that the other ghost tours won't go to. Why? Because there's nothing for them to see. But this space is very significant to the city of Charleston. So let's get into it. Again, spirit boxes, I'm not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the red barn and the red rock that we've already heard. You will not know what these answers are as we kind of go through this. So, what is this space? This used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. It actually sat in the front of this space facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with 5 Church Restaurant over there and came all the way across. And we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. I'll tell you, with a group this size, we are very fortunate that there's only one vehicle in here. We get to explore pretty much the entire space. Last night, it was actually very high traffic in here. Cars coming in and out, every space was taken. So just be grateful. Again, I'm out here, I know kind of how the pattern's going to work. I wasn't expecting this on Memorial Day, no less. So, who the heck were these people? Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles, they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses, in case you lost track. You guys see why I look for those second verification clues? You're going to hear me say that a lot tonight. But the son and the nephew, signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics more than anybody here. So we're going to move on. So, if I don't bring it up, it usually comes up on a spirit box somewhere. You would think I would leave it out purposely, but I'm not going to do that. It's just disrespectful. So, Eliza, we're going to talk about her. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. If you're going to ask her how old she was when she married, you're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14. So just think of today's standards, and the only reason I bring that up is because Charles was over double her age when they married. So you might get either number, and there is a big age gap between them, even for colonial times and even for today's time periods, really, if you really think about it. But I'm not going to give you what those numbers are. But anyway, she married Charles because her father over in England thought he was dying, and he wanted to see all of his children one last time. Eliza didn't think he was dying, so she stayed put. In 1744, she didn't get married for green cards or citizenship. In 1744, we're not even a country yet. So she did marry Charles out of love, and even though he died first, because remember, he's over double her age, she actually remained a widow from the time of his death till hers. So kind of keep that in the back of your brain. But anyway, Dad did not die right away. He started sending her gifts to this space. Now, you guys have been in town for at least an hour, maybe a few more, a couple of days. You've seen the word indigo somewhere. One of the gifts that he sent her were the plant seeds of indigo. Indigo makes a blue dye that makes her blue jeans blue. A lot of you actually have it on tonight because that's actually what we use it for today. When she got the seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. It's not always hot here, so if you're not from the south, it does get cold here in the winter. So she learned from her slaves on how to keep it cultivated, and turned it into a cash crop after she was done experimenting with it here by moving it to a plantation in Mount Pleasant. Once she got it done over there and figured it out, she calls her dad and says, rice plantations are going downhill. You can make a killing with this indigo. Now, we have an international businesswoman during colonial times, something absolutely unheard of. That's her business, but you guys are all here for the weird shit, am I correct? Yes, we do an investigation, so let's get into that. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza, back-to-back from Charles. Fellas, it's either really smart or really stupid, depending on how you look at it. And it was only 5 months apart. The first wife, Eliza, dies in January of 1744. By May of 1744, he's married to the second Eliza. Yes, very odd indeed. However, the irony of all of this is that both Eliza wives have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. If you want to ask which Eliza we're dealing with, ask her what her maiden name is and hopefully you'll get an answer. The mansion, it's obviously not here. You can ask what happened to it. She's perfectly fine by you asking. If you get an answer, ask what year that happened. Notice none of these questions are yes and no answers. It's very specifics. Now, the other piece, the children. I told you there's Charles, right? Sign of the Constitution. There are more children. You can ask how many and what their names are, but that's it. The reason being is there's a tragedy among those kids. If we poke the bear too hard, we're probably not going to see any more activity, including any EMF readings out of the 2 devices that we actually have out, which we haven't seen one yet. So again, we'll kind of see what happens here. Last night, my group kind of made Eliza angry. We won't talk about that right now because we're recording.
I think I just heard it say Charles.
I'm not surprised. There are 3 Charleses. We need the clue of which one it was. So keep listening in. Eliza's death is where she's really open. So if you want to ask her about her death, you can ask her how old she was when she died, where she died from, where she's buried, and what U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. Again, very specific questions. We are going to spread out in the slot. We're going to stay away from the one vehicle that's here. I can't tell you how much that makes me happy. There's only one here. But that car probably belongs to an employee of a restaurant local down here. It might come down to his break and that kind of thing. There won't be any Andes coming kind of mentalities over here. So, as far as pictures, take tons and tons of pictures. Make sure we get some of those laser grids in there. But we are going to stay within the confines of the lot, and I'll be bouncing around with all of you, taking notes. We'll spend about 5 to 8 minutes here. If there's great activity, obviously we're going to huddle around and see if we can actually gather some more. Spirit boxes, keep in mind, when you're asking questions, the answers can go anywhere. We literally have 7 points of communication tonight. 5 spirit boxes, my audio. Your audio is not so great on yours, Carissa. Things come out really muffled, but Greg has audio on his. That's 7 points of audio, just so you guys know. It might be muffled on there, but you never know who's going to get the answer. That's why I have you guys spread out, and we use as many devices as possible and see where the answers are actually going to come up. So, I'm going to follow up with Clint first to show him how to use that motion sensor, and then Tom, I'm coming over to you because I want to see what's going on with that word list. But yeah, we need to get you recording. So your record button is right here, right where my thumb is. It will start blinking. If it freezes up, come back and see me, and I'll show you how to fix it because that's the reason why I got the new update. You're still recording, hopefully, but yeah.
And I can
yours.
unmute?
Absolutely. Get those spirit boxes cranked up. Find those hot spots. Heart. Anybody else hear anything before I have you guys spread apart?
What did it say? I'm sorry.
Heart.
Heart?
And I also heard rice patties.
Rice patties.
I feel like I heard heart.
I heard a word,
You
but I
guys
don't
ever
know
just see
what
me
it was.
writing and my head still down? Writing in the dark is a new task. So again, it's a skill set on my resume. All right, guys, spread out. I need to work with Clint for just a few minutes.
I'm just going to wander.
were you when you died?
I thought it said like 40 something. I thought I almost heard 48. Let him
It was
know.
a man, right?
It was a man. You asked how old were you when you died, and I heard 48 or 40 something. I might have been.
Who died in their 40s? Who is here with us? How many kids did you have, Eliza?
I can't understand what it's saying.
I think that's why he paired me up with you, so you could record it. I mean, I think that's why these devices. Eliza, what were the names of your children? Who was your firstborn child? Who was your second-born child? Who was your third child?
So we're gonna escalate it. I don't like once you get like. Can we go?
I didn't hear what it said.
Which president was a pallbearer at your funeral, Eliza?
All right. How's it going on your end, guys?
So
What?
she asked a question about how old were you when you died, and there was a male voice that came through that said 40 something. It sounded like 48, but I'm not sure about the second number.
The actual is 45. So
It could have been. It was a male voice.
So
But-
normally with gender, I don't normally pay attention to that unless it's this one, because I never know if it's actual radio chatter or not. So again, the fact that you're telling me it was a male voice and you heard 40 something, again, he probably just wasn't able to generate the entire phrase at 45. So
Okay.
I'm okay with that. Like, that's good stuff. Like I'm actually pretty pleased with that. Actually.
Yeah, I saw the smile on your face
Yeah,
when we said that.
Yep, you said guy 45, but
Yeah.
if you were gonna say I heard a lady say 22, you know, then I would have been like, okay.
The 45, is that the husband or one of the
The
children?
husband.
The husband's 45.
And not to mention, we've already had the name Charles show up. So the fact that you heard 45, we obviously are dealing with Charles tonight and not so much of Eliza. So we're going to see what else happens tonight to kind of verify what else is going
Yeah,
on.
she's not talking to me.
Again, you're only going to hear about 10 to 12 things out of that all night long.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not a very active, like what they're listening for, and I'm trying to put clues together.
Yeah.
What comes out of here, it's like, it's on it.
Yeah.
So if it's able to generate like whatever type of word or phrase, like it's, so for example, at the end of our tour, I talk about a pirate story. The second night I used this, it said the word pirate, clear as day. And I paired it up with, obviously, the thermal, and we all heard it, but I was able to verify it with the recording from that camera. So that's why I pair this up all the time now, just because it's
And then with this, like when the cold spots, how far of a drop off should I be looking?
I usually look
picture-wise?
for like 15 plus degrees.
Oh, okay.
And then I still kind of verify like what's around us. Is it a vehicle? Is it, you know, a piece of metal on the
So
ground?
the only thing I saw so far here was, so it's showing like about 87, 88 here. I don't know if it was the sky, but it was showing the top of that building.
Okay.
the very top, it was showing it like 69.70.
Because that's the skylines behind it, unless it was part of the building.
It looked like it was the top of the building.
Okay.
So I'll see if I can.
So where the orange is now.
Yeah, where the orange is now, but there was a blue streak above it and was pointing down and said like 69 or 70 on it.
Well, we're not going to stop the recording to verify it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to watch it on a computer, much bigger screen. I'll be honest, with that camera, like I don't follow up with it a lot because it's all about media review. If you capture something in real time, like that's like holy shit, bees knees kind of stuff. But it matters, like you've got something for me to look at. I'm obviously going to jot that. We're at Pinckney Mansion very early. I need to check that spot.
Okay.
So again,
Cool.
I'll definitely take a look at it. But the fact that you guys are at 40 something already, like I'm stoked. Like that's awesome.
Nick, it's not recording.
Cool. Yeah. I still want to know who was the president who was the pallbearer at your funeral, at Eliza's funeral. Can somebody tell me that? Anyone who's here. Who is here? Shout out the name of that president. Did you get that?
Hmm?
I thought it said something. Pallbearer at Eliza's funeral. Who was that? What president? Or the other questions, I don't remember. What year did you die, Eliza? How did you die? Was this church here when you lived here? Let's answer that. What year did you build your home?
Everybody like 1 more minute. I have like a plethora of shit to tell you guys. You guys got a lot going on. Anything else on that?
What happened? Did you get something?
There's something coming through, but I cannot discern anything.
So what was awesome?
He said he's got a
Oh,
bunch
yeah.
of stuff.
All right, I'm going to rein us all back. We have a lot going on. All right, guys, come on over, Tom.
Lexi. Lexi.
Lexi. Holy cow. Greg, go ahead and kill your video. Give your hands a break. Yeah, definitely.
Of Georgetown, and yet it's very clean. So, well, it doesn't smell like urine.
Give it time. It's still early.
Alright. Wait for everybody to catch up. Just see your list, 'cause I can already see the link.
You told me to mute this one, right?
Yeah, definitely mute yours, and then Ginny, you can turn yours down too. Alright, so names, what do you guys have?
I've heard Philadelphia again. I've heard number 7. I've heard the song Brown Eyed Girl. The song by REO Speedwagon. Keep on Loving You song. Isn't that REO Speedwagon? What else? Yes.
How many times did you hear 7? Once. Anybody else hear the number 7? When did you hear Brown Eyed Girl?
Like walking.
One block away?
Yeah, it was on the street.
He has the number 7 on here.
You had the number 7 on there? Holy cow. Wow. Wow. Wow, I sound like Gordon Ramsay. Wow. Until I watch Master Chef. Thank you.
Number 7.
I heard 99. Like right as we turned in. And I heard World Market.
Okay. You guys are amazing. This is probably one of the best tours I've had in a long time. So I'm going to explain a couple of things before I get into this of what actually goes on here. You guys are actually getting clues for the next stop, and it is actually on the street that we are crossing at the same time that you heard the blue ground and possibly the 2 7s that popped up. I'll have to look at the timestamps. Here's why. We're going to be discussing, and Philadelphia ties into that as well. So we're going to be going to Philadelphia Alley after this location, where we talk about a doctor. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. His birthday was July 7th, 7/7. Wow. Like, I'm stoked. So that's all good stuff. Anything else significant? Just start reading off your list from when you
I
start
heard
walking.
church. Turn around. I heard like 3 times.
Okay.
4 years. As we were leaving the parking lot, I swear I heard it say bye-bye.
It's a good probability. Holy cow. You guys get a lot. Alright, so yeah, I'm stoked about the next phase because obviously he's giving us some stuff. So let me kind of give you what's going on in this location. So when we crossed that last crosswalk over Cumberland Street, that's where the original Charlestown walls used to be. So Charleston used to be called Charlestown. So you're standing on one of the first streets we ever had, which is one of the reasons why I like to bring you down here. Not to mention, no other tourists really like to come down here because they don't know all the history like I do. They try to tell some crazy mythological figure about a blue hag. So the reason I'm asking you for names is because I have the full list of residents of every single person that's ever lived down here. So do I think Brooks, that you guys heard earlier, is a possibility? I do. I won't know until I go over that list tomorrow morning. It's not a lengthy list, I'm not going to lie. It's only about 2 pages long, because it's not like a whole lot of people lived here at one given time. We're talking like 2 to 5 people. The names I commonly get are Benjamin and John. Benjamin and John, there were 4 different Johns that lived down here, by the way, over a 60-year time frame, but when it always shows up with the name Ben or Benjamin. 2 out of 5 people that lived here in 1801, Benjamin and John Johnson. Every once in a while, we'll get John's last name to kind of verify which John it is. So again, take that for what it's worth. The funny thing about that is I only get it every 6 to 7 weeks. You have to imagine what I do for a living, folks. I study this crap every single day. So when I see that there's a loop and it's actually, consistent of 6 to 7 weeks, even though I can't pinpoint a day, there's got to be a reason behind it. You're standing on Belgian blocks. These blocks are actually said to be made of granite. At least that's what we're told. Clint, I want you to put your device on a brick on the ground and tell me how high it goes after I'm done talking. So kind of go ahead and put it on the ground. Just put it on the ground and leave it there. So that way you can actually see it. Belgian blocks are not supposed to hold any type of EMF activity at all. For the past week of tours, I've actually been testing this theory because granite does not hold EMF. A couple of nights ago, we actually got it all the way up to an 11.7. The night after that, went to an 8.9. I can't explain why, other than the fact that bricks this old that have been in the same spot for hundreds of years kind of falls into a paranormal theory called the stone tape theory. Basically, the rocks and bricks are hanging onto the consciousness of memories and spitting it back to us in a loop, like every 6 to 7 weeks when I get those names. Are you getting any readings from it at all?
It's hanging around 1.1, the highest was 1.6.
Okay, we're going to leave it there for just another moment. But again, we might not get anything. I haven't gotten something every single night. Inconsistency is usually a good sign. So kind of take that for what it's worth. Right now, we're in week 1 to 2 of that loop. I was not expecting y'all to hear Benjamin and John. So I'm super glad that we started getting relative terms to Philadelphia Alley, where we're going next. They actually did an archaeological dig underneath these bricks and found these people's clothing, their silverware, their tools. They classified them as lower class people. It makes sense. Looking at our geography, the other part of the wall would have been on the other side of East Bay Street from the street we were just walking on. The smell of low tide would be coming down here all the time. The rich people of Charleston are not going to put up with that. So if you've been down to the Battery, you've noticed that the houses are skinny in the front and go long backwards. That architecture is set up that way purposely. First reason is to keep the smell of low tide out. Their front porch is on the side of the house, which means they put a front door on the piazza. That's what we call the front porch down here. So it keeps the smell of low tide from coming into the home. They open up the second story window, the cool air from the breeze comes in, heat rises, cool air drops, so you have old school air conditioning. The other reason why those houses are skinny in the front is because you were taxed based on the street side width that you took up. So the skinnier your house, the less taxes you're going to pay. We just talked about the Pinckney Mansion site where I showed you a picture of it going broad against East Bay Street. Let's put 2 and 2 together. The Pinckneys had a lot of money, indigo farming, and most of the Pinckney men were politicians of some sort, and they're outside the city walls. If they were paying taxes at all, because they're outside the city walls, they probably didn't care. It was about bragging rights to show off their beautiful home. So I lollygag in this space on purpose, just because I'm waiting for that loop to hopefully give us something, and there might be another clue or something else going on with the recordings. But I will tell you that before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here. We do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons. Every once in a while, we'll get Freemason, Mason. The word Illuminati loves to show up here too. So first off, Spirit Box people, who the hell is saying the word Illuminati on the radio these days? Really,
Yeah,
honestly.
really.
And why am I only hearing it in this space? 6 times last year, twice this year so far. So again, I can't make this stuff up, guys, and I have to chuckle every time I hear it. Because again, who the hell says the word Illuminati on the radio? Any readings from that guy at all, Clint?
Still.
Alright, go ahead and pick it up. That way it doesn't get skidded across the parking lot. So as we go through this next space, we're going to Philadelphia Alley, as you already know. But we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood to be able to get there. So video cameras, you're going to cut your video as we exit. And we're going to be cutting through the neighborhood, so obviously no picture taking either. But Spirit Boxes, you can definitely keep on listening in. The other alley we're going to, we're not going to be able to go all the way through it. Why? Because I've been kicked out. So yes, you guys have the blinky lights and noisemakers and all of that thing. However, I still tell what happened there outside the alley, and it obviously stirs up a lot based on what we're already getting for that space. I'm telling you guys, I have not seen 3 to 6 clues in one space very specific as what you guys have captured in 2 spaces alone in a long time. So again, I'm excited. This is me excited, just so you guys know. Like, I'm not throwing somebody in a dark corner and just saying that to keep you guys happy. No, I'm happy, which means you guys should be. But with that, we are going to stir up some activity outside of Philadelphia Alley, hopefully, and we'll get terms for that for the rest of our time together. Hopefully, fingers crossed. He's already starting to come through, you know, a block and a half away. We're going to see what else is going to show up while we're actually over there. Tom, anything showing up on that word list? What's the last 3 or 4 terms you got?
Above, transmit, and send.
Did you look up there?
There's a name Evan.
Okay. There might be an Evans on the word list.
Adolescent.
So, again, we're going to see how that word list is going to tie into everything you guys are hearing.
Here?
Through it. All right. Any other questions about crazy places like this? Or
That is a weird looking blue mark.
All right, let's cut through. We're going to keep the 2 open Spirit Boxes, so Ginny and Amy, I want you guys kind of keeping yours on mute until we get to the next stage. All right, let's do this. Let's go to the next spot. Down here before. You guys are going to be filming the alley behind me because you can obviously see a large tour group coming up. So, you got that, Jenny? Yeah, just gotta hold it down. Hold it down just until I get through this piece here. So, the people that are obviously walking through, that's how large the other tours can be. Just so you guys know, they don't get the personalized attention. Not that I'm showing bragging rights, but I'm showing bragging rights right now. So, but this place is called Philadelphia Alley now, which is why Philadelphia was so exciting to me earlier. We all tell the story of one specific duel that occurred here because this used to be called Dueler's Alley. So, again, it's kind of funny that it has a dead end sign, and you know, kind of ironic that way. But I obviously tell the story a lot differently than the other tours around town, just because you're ghost hunting. You're going to need more specifics, more details. So here's how it goes down. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. I already gave you his name, Joseph Brown Ladd, as we had earlier. So he moves down here because his fiancée Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. We had the name where?
Amanda.
How long ago?
Oh, I don't know.
So is it by the number 7? Holy cow, guys. So, what?
Yeah, it was by the number 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can't make this stuff up. This is why I give you guys the devices. So, with that said, Amanda just inherited all this money from her dead parents, and she has an attorney helping her out with this cash. The attorney thinks that the doctor's just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. To prove that he's not just after Amanda's money, he moves to Charleston. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. So it wasn't a very good start to his day in Charleston. Somebody walking by, he has the name Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop here for a second. Remember, you're ghost hunting. Ralph Isaacs has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. So RI does show up here all the time. I need the secondary clue so we know who it belongs to. Sometimes you guys will hear phrases like get on the road, and then the word island will show up on the word list. Just so you guys know, it happens all the time. So, and I'm not searching for it, it just comes up that way. Back to the story. Ralph says, dude, you don't want to stay here. He didn't say dude, it's the late 1700s, they didn't have that term. He says, you don't want to stay here, there's a gunman inside, I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you and take all your money. He's like, but I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there and rent a room and you'll be safe. The doctor takes him up on the offer, the two become friends. The doctor's practice, the more he stays here, his practice is taking off. So he's making his own money now, he's doing pretty well. Amanda's moving down soon. This guy becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. So every haunted city you will ever go to has a cliched whistling ghost. I can almost guarantee it. Ours is a doctor and it actually works here. So let me finish it off and it'll make a whole lot more sense. That night vision, we want to leave it off to not attract attention. Ralph and the doctor go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other. Why? The doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. Just kind of the way the hierarchy works. So they talk about these plays on the way home. They go see William III one night from Shakespeare. They're talking about the new actress that was in town. The doctor thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. The argument gets heated when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. They go their separate ways. Ralph is from here. He goes to his friends at the newspaper and puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees the ad and rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this. Somebody's going to die. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend, just wanted to show the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. He's willing to forgive, but Ralph has his one shot. Sorry, heckler. Puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. He's like, wait, what's he going to do to me? Has the look of shock on your face from the 140-pound guy. That was kind of funny. But he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor, and he doesn't die either, but Ralph proved his point that he's still pissed off. The doctor drops to the ground, his friends pick him up, they carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later, after refusing medical treatment. You have to remember, he's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed it out himself. So, the ghost campfire story of this is that as you're walking through this alley, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. when I used to take my tours all the way through there, it was all about using the voice recorder. We weren't using earbuds with the spirit boxes, but it was about turning them down and listening to the voice recorder. If you're going to do that on your own, without me, of course you're free to do that as tourists in our town. Turn on your voice recorders, but keep in mind that every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street on the other side throws a whistle right down the alley. I do it every single night. We end at the next block, my garage is right there. So I have to pass the alley. When my 15-year-old daughter's on the tour with us, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. So just keep that in mind. It's not going to be very open and sound like that. It's going to be very faint and in the background. They also say you can hear gunshots when you're down there. I don't have any proof of that though, but I do have some whistles that I cannot debunk. So take that for what it's worth. This is one of the most picturesque places we have as well, which is why I have you guys taking footage of it with your camera.